First step in installing the bracket for our CPU cooler is to remove the stock clips. They're each held on with 2 screws. Then you can grab the box labelled AMD socket, and we'll take the brackets that come with these and set them onto the motherboard. So you'll notice that both these brackets have a little arrow pointing towards the CPU, so make sure you install them the correct way round. And we'll secure the brackets to the motherboard using the screws that came with the IO. If you're going with an Intel motherboard, the first step is to install your backplate. And there is only one backplate that comes with a cooler. It's labelled 1700, so you are only going to be able to install it on an LJ 1700 or LJ 1851 socket. So you're not going to have support with this cooler for older motherboards. We've got some double-sided adhesive here, so you can go ahead and remove this, and this will help the backplate stick to the back of the motherboard. This is just a temporary build for me, so I'm going to leave it in place. And then we just need to line the backplate up with the holes in the back of the motherboard, and it'll simply fall through. Then you're going to take the brackets that come in the Intel socket box and set them onto the motherboard. And again, you'll notice we have a little arrow on both brackets pointing towards the CPU. So you're going to use these little standoffs to secure the bracket to the motherboard. You'll notice that on one side of the standoff, it's completely flat, whereas on the other side, there's a little hex socket. So this side is going to go facing up the way. So we can set the standoff into the hole. And then we get a special screwdriver in the box, which is going to go down into the hole in the top of the standoff. And we're going to be able to secure it to the motherboard. You'll notice that once these brackets are in place, you're not actually able to open the socket anymore, so it is important that you've installed your CPU before installing these brackets. So this brings us on to installing our IO, and it's great to see that our 3 fans are pre-installed in the radiator, so one less thing for us to do. And if you take a look in from the other side, you'll notice that our tubes are held by these 3 clips, bringing them out exactly where our CPU is. So the only bits of the tubes that are going to be visible are these bits at the front, coming directly down from the top of the radiator. And if the tubes aren't coming out exactly where they need to be, it is possible to adjust this little bracket here. You'll notice we've got further holes here, and the holes extend all the way up to here. So you are going to be able to unscrew this, move this bracket, so you're going to have these tubes lined up exactly with where your CPU is. So to get access to the screw holes, we just might need to move our tubes very slightly, and you can see the 2 screws here. So I'm just going to loosen them up. So if I lift it up out of the way, you can see the additional screw hole places that we have. So it would just be a matter of moving this bracket, having it in exactly the right position, and then you're going to have the tubes coming out directly with where your CPU is. The other thing to factor in is the length of the tubes. So your tubes are slightly too long. What you can do is just route this cable this way and have the CPU cooler installed like this. They're going to come slightly forward. So this doesn't look particularly untidy, having all the cable bulging. So what you can actually do is bring this bracket slightly further up, so we can push our tubes back, and then we could fix that down into place where it needs to go. And this excess cable would just be at the back behind our radiator, where you're not going to see it. If space is really, really tight at the top, and actually the tubes are going to be pushing down into the fans, or you're going to have a really unsightly bulge, you can actually remove the bracket. And this is what I'm going to do for our build, because space at the top is really tight. So to do that, it's just a matter of pushing the tubes through the bracket, and then you can remove the bracket. So I'm going to talk you through the wiring while we've got our IO on the table. So coming from our fans, we've got our wireless receiver, and it's going to work with this wireless dongle. Because we've got the TL fans on the radiator, this comes in the box. If you get the version without the fans or the non-TL fans, you're not going to get this dongle, and you're going to have to pick it up at extra cost. On the other end of the cable, we've got 2 4-pin PWM connectors, and these are going to power this wireless dongle, allow it to work, and power our fans. Now, Lian Lee say that one of these may provide enough power, but if it doesn't, you can plug both into your motherboard. So if you've got 2 headers, it makes sense to plug both them in, and you don't have to worry about power. So there is a number of different modes for operating this IO. It is possible to run it without Lian Lee's L Connect. And if you do want to do that, you still are going to have to plug at least one of these PWM cables in to power the fans. But if you do want to use Lian Lee's L Connect, which will give you more effects both on the pump and on the fans, you're going to have to plug this wireless adapter into your computer. So there is a standard USB Type A port on the back of it, and that could simply go into the back of your motherboard. Although if you don't want this big bulky adapter sticking out the back of your PC, what you can do is plug in the additional cable that Lian Lee send with it. And then coming from it, we've got 2 cables. There's a 4-pin PWM connector to power it, and we've got a USB cable to communicate with the motherboard. So this is the option that I'm going to go for. So this is going to be hidden away at the back and not on display. So moving over to the other side, again, we've got two connectors coming from it. The first is a 4-pin PWM connector, and this is to power our pump. And the second is a USB 2.0 cable, which is to connect our AIO up to our motherboard. So you obviously are going to have to plug the power cable in because you do need to power your pump, even if you want to use this AIO in offline mode without any L-Connect software. But the USB cable is optional. What I'll do is I'll show a picture up on the screen now. You can go and pause the video. And this will tell you if you want to use the AIO without the USB or wireless adapter, what you can do. And you're simply going to rotate the pump to change the ARGB lighting effects and what appears on the pump screen. Although if you plug in the USB cable and or the wireless adapter, you're definitely going to have more options using Lian's L-Connect. So if you decided you're not going to use the USB cable and you're just going to use it in offline mode, or you want to just use the wireless adapter, it is possible to remove this USB cable. So first thing to do is pull this little cover off, and then if we trace our USB cable, it's plugging into here. So you just need to get your nail into the back to push the clip in, and then you're going to be able to remove the USB cable if you're not planning on using it. But I'm just planning on leaving the USB cable plugged in. You'll notice we've got other cables plugging in, and they actually route into our tubes to our pump. And you can feel these cables run in under the braided hoses. So our pump is actually going to look really clean with no cables running to it. So once we set our AIO into the case, it's not going to be easy to plug into the fan headers at the top of the motherboard. I'm just going to set our AIO loosely into the bottom of the case, and then I'm just going to route our cables from both sides of the radiator up and through to the back. So we've got 3 CPU fan headers at the top of the case. We've got our CPU fan, CPU opt, and AIO pump header. So I'm just going to pass the 2 PWM cables coming from our wireless receiver through, and I'm going to plug them into our CPU fan and CPU opt header. And then I'm just going to bring the PWM cable coming from our pump through, and we'll get it plugged into the pump header. So now that I've got the 3 cables plugged in at the back, I'm just going to lift our AIO up into place at the top. And as I do, we'll just pull the excess cable through to the back. And I'm just going to put a couple of screws in loosely at the top to hold the radiator in place. And that's just going to hold things, but it's still going to give me a wee bit of mobility and make it slightly easier to install our pump. We can remove the plastic protection from our cold plate, and we can add some thermal paste to the center of the CPU. So I don't normally spread the thermal paste, but when you see how we are going to install our pump, I think spreading it is actually going to be a good idea. Okay, so now we've got the thermal paste spread, I'm going to push as much of the tubes up behind the radiator as I can. And then what I'm going to do is line the AIO up with the bracket, and we're going to go slightly to the right hand side. And then we're just going to slide the pump to the left hand side, and it's going to lock in on the bracket. So that's it locked into place. And all we want to do is take the thumb screws and get one installed in each corner. And then we can go ahead and tighten them up with a screwdriver. So now that we've got the pump installed, we just need to try and get our tubes back to central position. And then to help keep them in place, we can insert a little clip onto them. And then we're able to remove the plastic protection from the pump. We've also got a plastic cover plate to help tidy things up. At this stage then, I'm just going to tighten down the 2 screws I'd put in already, and then we'll put the rest of the screws into place, and there is some additional slots on the back to help secure the mounting brackets for the tubes. We need to remember to plug the USB cable coming from our pump in, and we're going to plug it in with the USB text facing up the way. And if you are wanting to control the AIO wirelessly, you're going to need to install the wireless adapter, and as I mentioned, this can either be plugged into the back of the motherboard, or the option I'm going to go with is using the wireless cables. So I'm just going to simply tuck this in at the bottom of the case, and then I'm going to pass the USB and PWM cables through to the bottom. We'll plug the USB cable into the second USB 2.0 header at the bottom of the motherboard. And next to it, we've got another system fan header, so we'll power the wireless controller using it. Okay, so I want to talk you through how our AIO is going to work in terms of controlling the pump and the fans. So we've got our AIO pump plugged into our pump header, and at the moment it's set to full speed. And you can see our current pump speed here. And the maximum rated speed for this pump is 2500 revs per minute plus or minus 10%. So at that, it is currently running at 100%. So if I try to bring that down by clicking on the manual fan curve, and you'll see here I've purposely dragged everything down as low as it will go. So the pump should really only be running at a tiny amount. You can see the pump speed hasn't actually changed at all. So our pump speed is currently working off the water temperature, and whatever you set in the BIOS doesn't seem to be adjusting that. Basically, all the fan headers on the motherboard are doing is powering the pump. We head over to our CPU fan header. Now this is where we've actually got the fans and the radiator plugged in. You can see they're running off the standard fan curve, and that's our current fan speed. If however we put this one up to full speed, you will notice that our fan speed is kicking up. So the fans in the radiator seem to be reacting to whatever we've set on the fan curves, whereas the pump isn't. So we'll just put that back to standard. And at the moment I don't have any software installed, and I don't have either the wireless controller or the USB cable plugged into the motherboard. So up on our screen you can see we've got our water temperature and also our pump speed being displayed. Now we can adjust what comes up on the screen as well as the ARGB effects around the pump itself. So if we turn anti-clockwise, what you will notice is the ARGB color changes, and we can just keep going around anti-clockwise till we get the color that we want. So we've got a whole range of solid colors here, and then we've got more dynamic colors if we keep turning around. And again, it looks to be the same colors, but just dynamic effects. And we've got this rainbow mode, and that's us back where we started at white. If we want to change what comes up on the screen, we can rotate this time clockwise. You'll notice that it will just change the display, but the information being displayed doesn't actually change. We've still got our water temperature and our pump speed, and that's all our AIO can get without actually plugging these cables in using the wireless mode and the software. So I'll rotate through and show you the different screen options. So the other thing I want you to notice is the lighting effects on our fans doesn't change when we rotate the pump round. So if I turn it round anti-clockwise, you'll notice that the color on the pump itself changes, but we don't actually seem to be able to change the ARGB effects on our fans. So it does look like if we want to actually change these colors, we are going to have to use the wireless controller. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and plug these in and we'll install some software. So the software that we're going to need is Lian Li's L Connect 3. And you'll find the web link in the description, and you're going to go ahead and click on download. You can then head over to our downloads folder and we'll click on the file, click on yes, we'll click next and install. So with our software installed and USB cables plugged back in, you'll notice that turning the dial on the AIO no longer adjusts what appears on the pump. So I'm just going to check everything's up to date. And then we can click on our devices. And we're going to set up our wireless controller. So the first thing we're going to have to do is bind our devices to the wireless controller. So we'll click on them and click on OK. And then OK. Okay, first thing I want to do is set up our fan and pump profile. So we'll go ahead and click on it. And you'll see here we've got our two different devices. These are our fans and this is our actual pump itself. So we'll click on the fans to start off with. You'll see at the moment they react to our CPU temperature. We can change it here if we want, but obviously they're fans on an AIO, so we should leave them as CPU temperature, and they're running on the standard fan profile. We can make them go full speed by clicking here, or we can adjust them. So I'm quite happy to have these running on the standard fan profile. And there's a start stop button, but I don't think it makes any sense to enable this. So if we head over to our AIO itself, and this is going to be our pump. So there's not a big shift in our fan curves here. It runs between 2000 and 2500, and this is where we're currently running. We can fix it if we want to. So if you want to run your pump at full speed, we can do that. And you'll notice that on the AIO itself, our pump speed has kicked up. But I think for now, I'm just going to leave everything running at default settings. Next thing to do is control the lighting effects. So we'll click on the L wireless utility and click on OK. So adjusting the lighting effects on the fans themselves is pretty straightforward. It's the same as the previous uni fans. So all we need to do is select the effect that we want. I want a static color. All I'm going to do then is click on the color that I want, and I want white. So I'm just going to paint all this to white and then click apply to all fans. And you'll notice now the lighting on all our fans has changed to white. To adjust the lighting effects on our pump, we need to click on it. What I'm going to do is just change this to a static white as well. So we'll click static color. We'll pick white, paint it in, and click on apply. So we want to control our screen itself. We'll just click on the LCD screen, and then we can just pick the effect that we want from here. So for example, if I want to go for this one here and click on apply, you'll notice that it is now changed on the screen. We also can set up our sensors, and you'll notice that more temperatures are appearing since we've installed the software. So we'll click on sensor setup, and you can see the different options that we have here. So we've got our CPU temperature, GPU temperature, CPU load, GPU load, and water temperature. We can change the interval, deselect what we want, and we can change our text color from here as well. It is also possible to turn on the screen advanced mode. So turning this on, we do have much more effects. So we can head over to the template, and you'll see we have a whole variety of different templates here. So we can click a different one, click on apply, and you'll notice then it's going to appear on the AIO. And I'll just scan down to see what else we've got. So there's one with a cat on it. Let's try it out. So I think that looks pretty cool. And again, if we want to go something with a lighter background, we'll try it as well. So that's our templates. It is possible to add a custom theme in. So we can upload images or videos. So we click on add, and we can upload an image. And there's my logo. We'll click open and click on apply. And of course, you can see you can add animations, screen captures, a whole variety of different things you can add on to it. That's just the background, but we can also adjust the theme. So if we want to add an overlay, we can do this as well. So for example, click on this, click on apply, and we are going to get some temperatures and different information coming out. And if we want to do something different, we can add it in as well. So we could drag that down to there, click on apply. So that obviously doesn't look great, but it gives you an idea of the things that you can do. Once we're finished, we can save that as a template. And then if we go back to our templates, you'll notice that it has been saved here. The other thing we can do is we can use it as a secondary screen. So we'll click on here. But I think the cat one looks really cool, so I'm going to leave it on it.